Jalen Hurts, what's the latest Jalen Hurts update? What's going on with him? Now, Chris Landry is a regular guest of the game with Ryan Fowler, which comes on from 2 to 6. And he's kind of been hesitant to say Jalen should transfer. He's been hesitant to say that Tua's going to be the guy. He's always kind of talked about it. If you listen to the game or listen to him, he's always saying, hey, Jalen's going to compete. Jalen's going to play this out. But the other day, he talked and he kind of gave, if he was giving advice. The reason this catches your attention, James, is Chris Landry goes back a little ways with Nick Saban. I don't know if you know this. Chris Landry was up there with Nick Saban up where I call it where two great coaches. Isn't it interesting? Two of the greatest coaches ever were a part of the Cleveland Browns. And when the magic started with Belichick and Saban, it was at the Cleveland Browns. That's another whole sidebar. But think about that for a second. And Landry was a part of that. So it makes you wonder when he changes his words, has he heard something? Has something been leaked to him? I don't know. I'm not trying to stir. I just know, I thought it was ironic that I give an update that says, I think that Jalen's going to stay in battle. But here's what Chris Landry had to say when he was asked about what he would do if he was advising Jalen Hurts regarding transferring.
Oh, I think it can be a distraction, and even somebody that is the master of eliminating the distraction, certainly on the inside, on the outside, I think it could be there. I think this. I think we're at a interesting time, and I'm not trying to, say something that maybe is going to create news now, but this is a gut feeling. It's just me, and no one's told me this. It's just a gut feeling that I believe that if Jalen Hurts is going to transfer, I think it's going to happen and going to happen soon. I think that if he shows up and he's in the summer and he's there, I think he's all in. I think he's all in if he comes in at that point. That doesn't mean that he can't leave after the summer session or what have you. It could happen. He could, something could happen, or, somebody could whisper in his ear, his dad or whatever, and he may change his mind. But and it's just a general feeling that, if I were advising somebody in that situation, look, you have to look at it. You have to look at all situations. The grass is not always greener somewhere else. But look, if you're going to do it, then you need to do it now. You need to get wherever you want to be by summer, and whether that's where you're at or where you're going. I think after the summer, it just doesn't make any sense to be moving during the summer or late in the summer. That's just, as you know, we call it fall practice. It's August, and that's when it's going. So I think that I don't think it's going to be a distraction, except for right now. And I think that's only if there's that window where he might leave. I think once he's there, I think he probably stays. If he stays and then he leaves before the start of fall camp, then it'll be a story. But, they're going to move on. I think the only issue is going to be at that point is if you get an injury now, then with Tua, then you'd have a problem not having a quality backup. But, I think it'll be managed as good as it can manage it in this current situation, because nobody controls the message better than Saban. So if anybody can control it, he can, but you can't completely control the narrative outside the building. So anytime I hear someone say, well, this is just an opinion, I hadn't talked to anyone, I hadn't heard from anyone, and that they have inside sources, it always makes my ears perk up, James. I mean, because most of the time when you're talking about something, like if I'm having a conversation with you, my listeners on the radio, and I try to conversate with you just like I would if we were in person, if I'm just giving my own opinion, most of the time I just give you my opinion.
I don't qualify it. I don't say, well, you know, this is not someone else's opinion. No one's told me anything when I'm an inside guy on a very sensitive subject. And I think Chris Landry is an inside guy. I think Chris Landry sees things, knows things. There does that mean that Jalen Hurts is going to transfer? Not at all. But there was one moment, James, he let it slip. He said, if he leaves, you're not going to have a quality backup. You got to, he stopped immediately. He caught himself. And then he went on to something. What do you mean? I thought you were saying he was staying to compete for the job. I'm just telling you, when you listen, if you want to go back and listen, he says, but if he leaves, you're going to be stuck without a quality backup. And I don't know if he knows anything or not. But anyway, here's a follow-up to that question. And this is a question that I think even dictates more and helps. Guys, whether we like it, love it or not, Jalen Hurts is being recruited. And some of that is being initiated by Jalen, and some of that is being probably initiated by other teams and coaches who read the article. I don't know how big a demand it is for Jalen or not, and who it is that's recruiting him. You can't tell me that people haven't called other coaches. Remember, his dad is a high school football coach. So any coach in the country could be having a conversation with his dad, and no one would know the difference. Because you don't know what they're talking about. So if I'm a coach out there, I'm going to see him, and so that, I think that will determine, hey, we're interested in Jalen. We're interested in Jalen. We're interested in Jalen. And the right situation could pop up, and Jalen could be out of here. But here's what Chris Landry had to say about Jalen on the demand if he leaves.
Oh, I think there'll be some people. Here's the thing about it. I mean, I think he would want to go somewhere where he could, somebody he's familiar with. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, you know where the favorite, if he were to leave, you know where the favorite is, and that's back with Lane Kiffin. That's where the favorite, would be my guess where he would go. Now, does he want to go to another, big Power 5 type school? Perhaps, I don't know. I mean, there be some people that would be interested? Absolutely. We're seeing that more and more today. I mean, it's almost like, people say, boy, it's a slow news time. And I'm like, slow news, heck. I mean, we got quarterback from Ohio State that's transferring and is looking at schools, and LSU's recruiting them, and the running back out of California that transferred is going to. It's like we got like college free agency now with all these graduate transfers and kids coming in early. So I think that there would be a number of people that would be interested, and perhaps somewhere in Texas that maybe he might want to be. I just don't know that he's taken it that far, but I think they'd be a number of teams interested, and you can figure out some of the teams in the offenses where it might be a fit. Certainly with his athletic qualities, and in some of the run-pass option offenses, I think he can be really successful as a pure passer, which, again, most people are running a different type of offenses. I think he'd be a fit in a lot of places.
That's Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. You can find him at LandryFootball.com, a regular guest on The Game with Ryan Fowler from 2 to 6 right here on Tide 102.9. And James, when you listen to him, Sean Kilgrove said, I bet you Auburn is hot on his trail, and subsequently it'd be a better fit for him there. Now, would it not be – think about this. And I'm not – hey, James, I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything. This is just my opinion. I'm being funny. But think about this. Jalen Hurts goes through this season, graduates. Jarrett Stidham leaves Auburn, NFL. Jalen Hurts transferred to Auburn. Do you want to see Jalen Hurts in Gus Malzahn's offense? Asking. Go
what
ahead.
Gus Malzahn want to see Jalen Hurts in his offense.
Yeah. No. I'm saying, does Alabama fans want to see Jalen Hurts in Gus Malzahn's offense? Probably not. So anyway, hey, we're going to get the break here. Coming back on the other side, we're going to ask you this question. If you want to talk about the Jalen Hurts audio, comment on it. Hey, listen, we're talking about Jalen Hurts, so that conversation is up for a swing. Also, we were setting up this recruiting. Now, if we don't get into this conversation enough, James, we'll just carry it over because I think it's an interesting topic. Tacky recruiting versus negative recruiting. Would you rather a team go out and spill lies and negative angles on Saban's too old and et cetera? Or does it make you more upset when they actually use your players to prop up their university and their coaches versus what their coaches have done themselves? So that conversation is up for bat as well. But let's bring in Pat. Pat, welcome into the Blitz. What's on your mind?
Off today. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
But you need a pep talk. You talk about these pep talks. You need one really bad this morning.
What I need?
You're talking doom and gloom, sir.
Why do you always say? What am I saying is doom and gloom
this morning?
Hey, what?
Do you realize we are bringing in the best? Let's talk about what we are doing, not what might happen. Let's talk about what we are doing.
Pat, that's your job. That's my job. My job is hold on. My job is to get you to call in and go, Martin, what are you talking about?
Exactly. And you did a very good job at it this morning, sir. And let's talk about it a minute. Hey, yesterday afternoon, I was listening to a fellow named William or something. He played football at Alabama. And
William Barton?
Anyway, hey, and he was talking about a DN. And I had, I let this slip my mind a little bit. Hey, let's talk about what Coach Saban did bring in last year's class. Hey, they said this guy is going to be equivalent to Clowney, if not better. Can you imagine that?
Are you talking about a Yobi?
Comparing him to Clowney, yes, sir.
Hey, let me tell you something I saw, and I didn't even bring it up. I should have brought this story up just for you, Pat, and I can't remember what organization I saw doing this, but they were doing future first-round draft picks. Guess who they had as a future first-round draft pick in 2021 or 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a Yobi. I was like, okay, now this guy's not even played his first snap, and he's already a first rounder.
He's already a first round draft pick. Hey, he's getting this guy. There was a running back that we never did get in school. That was the fastest thing there ever was. Went over into one of the JUCOs over in Mississippi. We never did get him in class, but he ran a 4.140 or something, some ungodly amount of 40 time. But hey, let's talk about a fellow by the name of Waddle. Hey, they claiming that this guy is the most explosive athlete to come out of college in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
it is phenomenal. With the small class it may be his best coaching effort to date. Do you understand me? Even though what's happening now, and this is tuning up to be the highest rated class by Rivals or 24/7 ever in history, the class that we're getting ready to bring in.
I agree, but
last year may have been Coach Saban's best effort. Let's talk about the positives for a little bit. Hey, and my opinion on what's going to happen with a quarterback is that he is going to stay at Alabama, and that he may not play in the fall. And if I was him, I wouldn't play in the fall if I didn't have to, because I would leave with 2 years of eligibility. Because if he has a Chinaman's chance of making it in the NFL, he needs 2 more years somewhere.
Yeah, and hey, here's the thing. I've said the same thing, is that if I was Jalen, I'd fight for the job, but I'd have it on record for Nick Saban. Hey, I'm going to fight for this starting job. If I'm not the starter, I'm not going to transfer, but I want to be redshirted.
Exactly.
I mean, that would be, and then and then you put Mac Jones in. And the reality of it is, Is that not better for Alabama as well, Pat? Think about this. Because now Mac Jones gets mop-up duty and work.
And let's go back to him, that guy saying we don't have a quality backup. Mac Jones is definitely at least a game manager, if not anything else. And with Alabama's weapons, a game manager is all we got to have.
Mac Jones shows the potential to be – to be. I said Mac Jones shows the potential to be a really good backup. Hey, I got Greg. Exactly. I got to get through Pat. But hey, thanks for bringing that up, Pat.
I'm headed to L.A. going to cook fish in L.A.
All right, Pat. I'll be more positive.
Have a blessed one. Bye bye.
All right, blessings. All right, Pat. Tell him I need to be more positive. Hey, Greg. Welcome into the Blitz. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, roll tide, Mark.
Roll tide.
I just like to say I don't think Jalen going anywhere because development coming along real fine, and the quarterback issue, both quarterbacks we already know getting along real well. Now, what people do not want to hear, and sometimes we cannot express this on the air, you know what I'm saying? You're right about one thing, managing the ball, controlling the ball. Some folks saying, some folks want to believe that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can throw interceptions, you can fumble the ball. No, you cannot do that on a great defense. That's been proven through history, Now, I ain't saying, it can't be fixed, you know what I'm saying? But right now, two of me a lot of work, and that's why Jalen gonna hold that starting spot. Now, with that said, now let's go back with draft with Kirby Smart and saying negative about Nick Saban. Man, Nick and Kirby, two the best friends. Kirby Smart motivates Nick Saban, y'all. Now listen to me very well. Nick Saban hires coaches to battle players, and Kirby Smart know that. See what I'm saying? Why y'all thought last season Nick Saban fired half of his coaching staff? Well, he said, y'all lazy. But let's go back before that. Him and Kirby Smart sat down for the championship game, and both of them had the same type of swagger. And Kirby Smart looked at Nick Saban. And Nick took that challenge on. Nick said, you know what? I have this away from the media. When everything's said and done, and when we won, Nick Saban came back and fired half of his coaching staff. Tell me I'm telling the story now.
No, hey, Greg, I'm sorry. I got to get a high school coach on in here in just a couple minutes.
That's all I want to say.
Well, I appreciate it, Greg.